Hello there. The lefty open borders, anyone can turn up to vote with no ID types are absolutely livid. Yes, many people around the nation are about to go to the polling stations and only be allowed to vote with ID, and the lefties are a bit miffed because they couldn't stop it. And now we have the PM Rishi Sunak and his Home Secretary Suella Braverman beefing up the law to allow ministers to ignore ECHR judges' Rule 39 pyjama injunctions, so called because they're issued at the dead of night and prevent the deportation of those who are not welcome here. So democracy is defended before voter fraud can be given the chance to take hold, and that's called prevention, which is better than a cure, and now foreign judges can no longer dictate to us who stays in our country. And the open borders mob are sobbing in their soy lattes. You'd think they wanted the entire population of the globe to rock up on our shores. Actually, I think they do. Anyway, these new powers have been inserted into a bill going through Parliament at the moment, so it has to get through the Commons and then into and through the Lords before it can become law. And that could take some time given the scrutiny the Lords is likely to put that bill to. And they will not be pleased that the government is also looking to give itself the powers to prevent UK courts from granting injunctions except in very limited circumstances. More blubbing from the open border lefties. So the 60 or so Tory MPs who threatened to table a raft of amendments to the bill unless Rishi and Suella agreed to these changes have been successful. Now there was a bit of argy-bargy about this within Tory ranks, with some, those that must like open borders, saying the rebels could be safely ignored. But the rebels haven't been ignored, and that tells me that their constituents are sending them all a rather blunt message about this. As Tory MP Danny Kruger, who led this charge to change the bill, said, "The British public have placed their faith in this government to control our borders. They are fed up with London lawyers and Strasbourg judges getting in the way of a sensible migration policy. But our judges now have to have a solid history of inclusion before they will even be considered for a place on the bench. So why does their progressive stance at UK expense come as any surprise? We actually need a judiciary that is more UK-centred instead of working for the rest of the planet to the detriment of this country." Now some open borders whingers are moaning about the UK losing its global reputation by not following whatever some non-UK judge or supranational organisation tells us to do. These people have no concern for us, so why should what they think bother the people of the UK? And the reputation we desperately do need to lose is the one we have fervently developed over the last few decades, the reputation for being a very soft touch. Get over it, lefties. Mr. Musk's space exploits end in a fireball. But somehow it's seen as a success because the rocket actually got off the launch pad and they've learnt a lot for the next time, so they say. And one SpaceX engineering manager, Kate Tice, reportedly said that the rocket had a rapid unscheduled disassembly. Are you ready to receive your test emergency text on Sunday, when people will be shocked out of their Sunday afternoon snooze, or worse, startled at the wheel of a moving car when the phone siren goes off with lots of buzzing? Now last Sunday I was driving back from London after the anti-ULEZ expansion rally the day before, when I saw the motorway variable speed limit was in force, 60 mph. But not because of road conditions, roadworks or an accident, but because of air quality. How long before we're ordered by text in certain areas to don our air quality masks for our own safety, or even be told to stay indoors on pain of arrest? Something that leads me into the next item. Now, a few days ago there was a debate on giving the WHO massive powers over the UK during the next health emergency, powers that could easily be exercised via text. And the Daily Sceptic did a good article on exactly why allowing this would be the wrong thing to do. Now, the debate, which was held in Westminster Hall and not in the Commons or Lords, came about because a government petition reached 150,000 signatures, far more than the 100,000 required to spark such a debate. And those that signed the petition are demanding a referendum be held prior to the UK signing up to it, because this new treaty would give unprecedented powers to the head of the WHO to shut our whole economy and population down, and then dictate on mandating procedures on us. But worse, as the Daily Sceptic points out, there is a lot of dosh at stake here too. The WHO wants every country to spend 5% of their health budget on health emergency preparedness. In reality, that means taking money out of other government pots, like defence, and transferring it into our health budget, because the political ramifications of removing money from the NHS front line for a once-in-a-decades event are huge. So that 5% would have to be found from other budget lines. And this extra money would go towards a whole global health emergency infrastructure geared up to always be ready for the next one, and being forced to continually stir up the fear to keep the funding coming in. But further, there is also a commitment included for member states to pay in as yet an undecided percentage of GDP in order to assist developing countries. Global Marxism at play, all for the greater good, and all for the bank accounts and coffers of those on the receiving end of all those many billions. And all this will be binding on us if our Westminster bubble gets its way. And I've seen nothing from our political class, bar one or two notable MPs. Apart from them, there's a total commitment to handing over those powers to the WHO. Now, in the UK, we've had a string of high-profile political figures under investigation for this and that, with the latest ones being the murky activities swirling about the accounts of the Scottish National Party, and the press waiting with bated breath to see if Dominic Raab gets the old heave-ho this afternoon. But the US is seeing something similar, with Trump on the defence. But now we see that the Bidens have their own battle coming down the tracks, with claims that the Biden administration is interfering in a tax returns case involving a controversial and prominent figure, alleged to be Sleepy Joe's son, Hunter Biden. And there is talk that the investigators now have enough to indict Hunter. And that's another one to watch. Richard.
According to the Telegraph, interest in electric cars has slumped by a third. Well, what a surprise. I mean, blow me away with the gusto of Monica Lewinsky, a type of car that hardly anyone can afford, that travels for a relatively short distance before it runs out of juice, only to find nowhere to rejuice it, is dipping in popularity to the point where they may have to drop the prices of said cars. And a few people in the electric car industry are not happy with that. Oh wait, hang on a second. Did you actually think these electric cars were the future of motoring? Oh, you silly thing. Personal vehicle ownership is being reversed. Yes, those lovely people who have our best interests at heart at the World Economic Forum are quite open about it. But for some reason, when you mention their agenda that they are quite open about, you are branded a conspiracy theorist. I mean, if you believe that being in ghettoized 15-minute cities with no personal means of transport other than a bicycle is a conspiracy theory, I would ask, at what age in your formative years were you dropped on the head repeatedly? There is no problem with the affordability of the electric car because you're not supposed to have one, so they are priced correctly. So I ask all the pundits out there in the media to stop focusing on the impending doom of the car industry and the electric car industry because of a lack of affordability, and instead try doing some real journalism and correctly contextualize world events. Oh wait, hang on. The company and newspaper and media outlet that you work for is almost certainly owned by a company whose CEO has his or her own seat at the WEF in Davos. Well, that's why you're not reporting the news correctly. Silly me. Anyway, what do you think about the criminal reframing of world events by the press to suit the agenda of those in Davos? Leave your comments in the comment section below. And we will see you again tomorrow at 5:45.